Okay, welcome everyone. It's Penny here. Welcome alchemists and friends. I have a very, very special treat for you today. I have with us Melanie Scott, who is just so lovely, and you are going to fall in love with her because her specialty is love. And so for the summer of love, who better could we have with us than a love expert? So I just want to tell you a little bit about Melanie because she's just so impressive. She is a relationship and breakup coach for women who are ready to expand through whatever love challenges they are facing into greater self-love, which we all need, self-respect, and self-trust. So through her own divorce many years ago, she discovered how to turn tears into triumph. I love that. And since then, she's been paying it forward to women near and far. She's immersed herself in the world of sacred intimacy. Doesn't that sound luscious? Sacred intimacy and relationships teaching, and she's become an expert at all things love. So like I say, this is amazing. We have the expert at all things love. She mentors women in all stages of relationships, from dating to marriage to divorce. And she teaches workshops, retreats, and online programs to inspire women to unlock their deepest feminine gifts and shine their hearts back to the cosmos. I love that. And I just feel it. I just feel my heart growing like 10 times just even seeing that. I mean, look at what's happened to my glasses. My glasses have changed, and now I'm looking through the lens of love just because.
Woo!
Of course, it's just amazing. So I'm just so thrilled for you all to get to meet Melanie. And maybe, I mean, I know some of you alchemists already know Melanie, but I have a couple of questions for her, and then she's gonna tell you even more things than what I have. But the idea for the summer of love is basically falling in love with your life again, falling in love with yourself again. So Mel, you probably have some ideas about how people can do that. I mean, what would your tip be for how people can fall in love with their life?
Well, first, I just want to say thank you so much for having me here, Penny, and hello, everyone. So good to be here with all of you. I'm a big Penny fan, so I jumped at the chance to be here with her and all of you today. And, you know, I'm really touched by this theme that you've presented, the summer of love. I mean, it's just so tender and sweet and has this sort of nostalgic feeling, this playful spirit, this joyful kind of, really like feminine heart already kind of enveloped in it. And so I just feel like it's such a beautiful platform to be able to present this material and talk today. And, you know, when I really feel into the idea of how to love ourselves, how to love our lives even more, what I always really go back to is that idea of our body first. Because really our body is the anchoring, really spirit, the anchoring force, the grounding nature of our entire existence, right? I mean, every day we get up, we're in the body, we do our stuff, we go to bed. The body is the constant, and it's easy to kind of get distracted by all the things, right, in this crazy world today.
Yeah.
The body is always there delivering. And so I feel like for my personal practice, for the practice I take my clients through, any of my workshops and retreats, I always start with the idea of falling in love. How do we recommit? How do we really find that deep level of respect for our body and just really all of its workings, all of its sensations, its movements? So my tip would be always turn your focus back to your body. For women in particular, what does that look like? Well, every day getting up and moving our bodies, right?
Yeah.
I love the practice of when you wake up in the morning, it's like pick a song that matches the emotion that you're feeling when you wake up. You know, some days you're like, ugh, I'm so over this life. Other days you're like, I'm joyful and free and fun. And other days you're like pissed off. Like whatever it is, like get up and just own the emotion, own the feeling, and express it through your body. Because when you do, it doesn't get stuck, right? It gets to flow through and we get to release it. And then we feel what? Lighter. We feel more grounded. We feel more present. We find that that energy isn't stuck. And I feel like really it's our stuck energy that has us not loving our life so much, because we can just feel all those like tense spots. So the body is really the best barometer, I think, for love, self-love, and just loving life in general.
That I love that whole thing, because I feel like that, especially for women, is one of the first places we start hating on ourselves, you know, and so that's really profound to say, start with that, because that's, in some ways it's so simple, just even like having a glass of water, like you say, moving, because it's so easy to stay in our heads, but we really do need to be in our bodies and remember, you know, this is part of the package, just like you, and allow yourself to feel love on all levels. You know, sometimes I just, even just smelling things in the morning, you know, the like foods or the fresh air or whatever, it's just, and I think we have sometimes such a narrow idea of love that because like it has to be towards somebody else or something, when in fact I fall in love every day, all the time, with so many things. And it's just really fun to practice it, not, and it's in a much larger way. I mean, every morning I go out and look at the clouds and I'm like, oh, I love what's going on out here. So yeah, oh, that is a super great tip. I love that. And so then what's your next step after being in your body? How do you what's your next move after that?
Good question. Just want to say one more thing quickly about the body. So it's this great teacher, this great sort of wise kind of oracle inside of us. So if there's things we don't like about our body or sensations we're chronically feeling, like those are really our best indicators of really our work or where we need to put our focus to. So in the concept of really falling in love, it's like, ooh, like where is that chronic tension? You know, what's here? Or where do I feel chronically stiff? Or where do I just feel like I'm not alive? Like I feel like those are like the indicators, like pop, pop, pop. Okay, I need to pay attention here. And really what you said is so beautiful, because like you come outside, right, and you see the flowers or you smell the roses and you're like, I love life. Well, my guess is that you're pretty in tune with your body and feeling pretty good in your own skin. So you can therefore go out and just be a beacon of love in your own brightness and your own femininity and your own radiance. And that really is our ultimate gift as a woman. So just wanted to throw that in there and say that really the vessel has to be strong, it has to feel good in order to spread love. And so it starts with working on the vessel itself. Yeah. And then once we really start to kind of do that, pay attention, move the body, then really the most powerful thing that I know of to do is to really love that little one inside of us, right? It always goes back to childhood, to the little woman, little girl, who, however old she is. For me, it's a little 3-year-old baby. I hold her throughout the day often. My clients do this too. It's like really developing a dialogue with her. So in any given moment, if you feel fear, you feel frustration, you notice that you have a chronic habit that you're really, God, I do that over and over again and I don't know why. Chances are she, however old she is really running some old story that you're maybe not totally conscious of, or you've gotten some indications of, but there's like a deeper layer there to really notice. And in the teachings that I do, what I'll call this is sort of the sacred masculine. So it's the part of us that needs to really hold our heart and hold those tender places in us, like we would want a sacred male partner to hold us. And so we really can kind of notice, like, oh, like for me, it's like, oh, there she is again. She feels alone. Oh, she feels scared. She feels isolated. So I'll actually pay attention to her. And when I have these triggers come up in my day, I'll go, oh, there you are. Oh, it's okay, sweetie. I got you. I'm with you. I'm holding you. I'm really providing that masculine energy, that way that we'd want dad or sacred man to show up. I got you, honey. You go play. Adult Melanie is going to run the day. She's going to handle this. You go play. You don't have to worry. You're not alone, or you're not, whatever the story is. And that, like, practice over and over again, ooh, it makes me feel whole inside. It makes me feel like she is just like able to be free. Like literally I can see her doing cartwheels and backflips and just playing. So then I can go and be the beacon of love without the insecurities or the childhood wounds running the show.
I so love that, because I think that's one of the things that we trip up on is that we're expecting the love to come from someone else, when really we have to learn how to love ourselves, and to be able to hold ourselves in all those places and say, oh, I see what's happening here, but I got that, or I've got you, knowing that you've got your own back. One of the things that I often think of, like when the sensation when people are first falling in love, and oh, life is so wonderful. I think what's really happening, I have this theory that we're actually just falling in love with ourselves, and it's being mirrored, but because like all of these parts of us get to come out for attention that we've been hiding from ourselves because there's been no one to notice it. And I just think it's really funny how we give it all the credit to somebody else. Oh, it's this new person in my life, or this new thing, when in fact we're just rediscovering parts of ourselves. I think that.
Ah, Penny, I'm so glad you said that, because that is the crux of it all. That is like the $1,000,000 thing. That's like the secret, I feel like, of love. You just said it. We're experiencing our own love.
Yeah.
It's just being drawn out of us by that, that lover or that person.
Yeah.
This is the biggest secret. It's like whenever we're having those struggles with dating or in our marriages, or if our relationships are ending, there can be so much sadness or so much story going on, so much struggle. But really, we can feel that fullness of love within ourselves and realize we really are the source of that, with our connection to God, Spirit, of course, running through us. It's like no one can take the love away. The love is omnipresent no matter what the circumstance. Ah, this solves everything, doesn't it?
Yeah, we just forget, and like just a few weeks ago when I started thinking about this whole idea of the summer of love, I'm like, what is it? When things start to just feel kind of meh, and I'm like, what is it that I'm needing right now? And I'm thinking, I just need to fall in love with my life again, and I need to rediscover those parts of me that are exciting and interesting, but I just keep them hidden, or I under a story, so yeah, so that's why I really wanted to pull it out and explore it. And for the first part, I was like, oh, I'm going to do this whole big thing, and we're going to have things all the time. And then I'm like, wait, that's not really loving myself, because I just feel like part of the idea of summer is also maybe a little bit more easygoing and free flowing. And I thought, I don't want to bombard people with a lot of information and have it be another, this is how you do love, because we all do love differently. And I love how you're saying that it just emanates from you. I mean, because once you can feel it, then it's almost like it steers itself, and people are attracted to that, because it's like we're no longer trying, we're just being it, and we're kind of beaming it out there, which is what I always feel from you. I just look at you and I just feel like there's little hearts going all over. And that's just so exciting. But another question I have is that I feel like sometimes people are just afraid to believe in love, and they're afraid to even go there. And I know there was a time in my life where I was on lockdown. I mean, there was really no way anyone was going to get close, because I had been really burned and hurt, and I just thought, never again, I'm never opening up for business. But here I am now with my glasses. But what do you think about that? I mean, what's your experience? Why do you think people are so afraid to believe in love or want to jump into love?
Ooh, yeah, we've all been hurt in some way, some other, by some person, whether it's family things, whether it's by our high school, first love or whatnot. And the pain of that is very difficult. It's devastating. And so, unfortunately, with our minds and all of the memories, we're not able to really erase the history. And so we let our history dictate how we think love is going to be. And I think it's the fear of getting hurt is one of the biggest things that blocks people from love, is they've been hurt before and they're like, oh no way, that was too hard. I don't want to go through that again. So I'm gonna like kind of be open, but kind of do that thing. And it's just really awkward talking about your body too. You're like, no, I want to be loved. But it's like, so there's that certain, like, I don't want to be hurt. And we're letting our history, right? Our history control the present moment. And really, obviously the goal is to love with that history. But I think even more so, it's this idea that love brings up all of our shit, Penny. Love brings up everything unlike itself, right? There's that famous quote, but It is true. It brings up our darkness. It brings up the challenges, insecurities, places where we think we're so open and I'm healed and I've worked on this for so long and I've done that. And then someone you love is looking at you right in your face or blowing kisses at you or kissing you or we're doing whatever. And you're like, oh my God, I feel this place again, right? It brings up our shit. And so it takes a warrior's heart, a heart of courage, a heart of commitment and really deep level of like yesness to stick it out, because people frankly don't want to do the work. They want easy. They just want like love and light, but love is not love and light. That's a total misnomer in our society. Love is all of it. Love is the anger and the fighting and the dissatisfaction, like, and it's the whole spectrum, but that's a tall order for somebody to feel. And usually as a society, right, we don't want to feel too much, like it's not okay.
Yeah.
You want to kind of do the thing, like I'm saying.
Yeah.
Don't make me feel too much, because then I'm going to have to deal with my childhood wounds and, you know, like my mommy and daddy issues, like, so I think we keep ourselves at bay.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah. That probably explains why I've never been married. You know, I was doing all of this work, wandering in the desert, doing all this spiritual stuff. And then, you know, I got to the point where, you know, I've been engaged for a while now, and it's like, oh, I get it now. You know, it's like, it was so much easier to think that I was doing all that work, but it really does take another person who you allow to get close to you to really, you know, really then dig in and start doing some work, because that intimacy, I love that phrase about sacred intimacy. And do you want to speak at all? I mean, because that just feels like it takes it to a whole different level, but maybe that's kind of what you were describing. Even I just love how you said about the anger and the frustration, all of that is part of love too. So is that part of all that sacred intimacy?
Absolutely, woman. Yeah, it's this idea of service, right? So a relationship creates a container, right? So you have a commitment. Usually that's my definition of relationship. Two people together. I love you. I love you. I'm in this with you. We're doing this together. That creates what I call a container. And then in that container, really, it takes the love from just like, I mean, love is great, but it takes it to another level, what I would call sacred love or sacred intimacy, when each partner is looking at the other one going, I'm here because I want to best serve you. And I realize this relationship is a container for growth for both of us and for the love that we feel for each other. So at any given moment, we're thinking, how can I best serve this person I love? It's not, what can I get from them? It's not, how can I make myself feel validated? It's really, it elevates it to a level of service. And when you do that, what happens is it really rises to the level of sacredness, because it's not just like, serve you like so your needs are met. It's like serve you as God, as goddess, as someone who's here to evolve and wake up and grow and step into greater purpose and consciousness, and really transcend as much of our karma and as many of our patterns and blocks as we can. So it's this idea that in order to serve each other like that, in order to really invoke the God in each of us, we have to bring it all, right? We can't hold back. So we get rid of the withholds. So you ideally communicate in a much more authentic level, right? This is really the basis of a sacredly intimate relationship, is authenticity and communication. For the man, the masculine presence in the relationship, it could, you know, obviously we could have homosexual relating to, but I'm just going to talk about hetero relationships. You know, the man is really there to be present, to be consciousness, to be that ending force of presence and stability. And the woman's there to really share her heart and be unwavering light and radiance. And when the two people in the relationship really accept these roles in service, it takes it to a whole nother level. But it's not necessarily the happiest path. It's not we want to have a white picket fence and just make as much money and just try to you know, I don't know, give each other high fives and be hunky dory. Let's go to Disneyland type of thing. Oh, there's nothing wrong with that. I like Disneyland, but it's this idea of I want you to grow as much as you can as a woman or as a man and feel God as much as you can. So I'm going to do whatever that is, including talk about the hard stuff, bring up the hard issues, scream and yell if I'm upset, not withhold, not hide, not try to make it just kind of that comfort level, if that makes sense.
Oh, that makes total sense. And it's so, I feel like it's so different from the idea that we're sort of sold about love, that it's always that happy, happy, joy, joy thing, and that we're always in love and we're, just wanting each other all the time. When I really like that idea of really a true love and partnership, being to help the other person grow. It's kind of like the noble idea of noble friend or whatever, where that person is actually very challenging to you, but you've made this contract that you're coming in because you want this person to grow. Because yeah, the more I get into the spiritual growth and the more work I do, it's more like, what am I signing up for? Because this is the hardest stuff I've ever done. I mean, it sounds all nice and flowery, but it's really tough work to look at all your stuff, and it takes really a lot of love for somebody to hold that space with you and allow you to go through all that, because it is not going to be pretty when you start to look at some of those things that really are how you're wired, and the vows that you've made of this is how I'm going to protect myself and whatever, and then suddenly to let somebody in, wow, that's vulnerable stuff. But yet, I also feel like that's when you really start to see the breakthroughs in your life, don't you? Like, it's. I don't think we can separate things out and say, well, as we like to have these categories of, well, this is working love, but then there's work and this and that. But to me, we're a whole person, and it all kind of blends together. And the more strides we can make towards in the love area, the more that kind of permeates out to all the other areas. It's like you might not think that, okay, I've had an argument with somebody and I can just go to work and do my job, but it carries over. So I do you think that too, or am I just being a little goofy here, or I don't know what that noise is either. I've got a little noise going on there.
Oh, I'd say you're spot on, honey. I mean, this is exactly it. I mean, I'm single right now. I went through a difficult breakup a few months ago, and I feel wildly in love with life. And some might say, what? How's that possible? And yet it's the cultivation of my own love in myself that has given rise to that. And every day it's like I wake up and I go, how can I give rise to love today? And it's the idea that once we see love as this container of just everything around us, like walking down the street today, I'm like, wow, these trees, like they're so beautiful. You almost kind of feel like you're on drugs a little bit.
Yeah.
Definitely not. But it's that idea of like, you just like see the splendor and the magnificence of things. And that really does start again with the body. But once you kind of feel that sort of whole calibration inside, it's like, yeah, how you do anything is how you do everything. So if you take, really, it's awareness, right? At the end of the day, everything starts with awareness. So if you're like great with your husband or great with your, boyfriend, but then you're like, hell on wheels at work, it's like, there's the disconnect there. And really, love is opportunity in any given moment, right? So it's like our ultimate best practice partner really isn't that person that we're in the relationship with, it's us. Yeah. Right? Again, I'm talking about like the masculine and feminine parts of us. It's like, kind of looking at both sides and going, oh yeah, how am I really holding myself here? How am I showing up for love in this moment? It's this constant, what I'll call it, dance. And I love that analogy because it is really like a little tango or something we do with ourselves over and over again. So yeah, it's all interconnected, and really any chance is a opportunity to give rise to love. And I think it's really important to remember in talking about this that love, again, is not love and light. It's not Valentine's Day. It's not romance. That's one subset of love, which is a juicy, delicious one that I love, believe me. But that is just one aspect of love. It's also loving to be like, no, this is not okay. You cannot treat me like that. Like that is an offering to love, because like, your partner is, falling short of what he or she should be doing, or they are being rude to you, or I don't know, doing something that is just like so against the grain of love. Like it's also a very loving act to tell someone where they're out of line and do it from a place of, you know what? I love you so much. You can't get away with this. Like, can you feel, Penny, how that's loving too?
Yeah. That is so perfect. I love that, because again, it's that idea that, oh, if we're loving, then we're just, sending out these little hearts, and sometimes loving is very fierce.
Yes.
It's like being able to say, yeah, or tough love, or whatever, but being able to stand and loving yourself, because I feel like sometimes I know I've abandoned myself, and that hasn't been a very loving thing for me to do, when I think that I'm wanting to get along or be, keep the peace or whatever, when the most loving thing to do would be to not leave myself, to stay in my body, not go up to my head, to stay in my body, and say that no, cross the line or whatever. So I love this, because this is such a great conversation about love that's different than the typical ones, because I knew that we would get this kind of conversation from you, Melanie, just because you've done so much work around this. And do you want to talk about your coaching programs at all? Do you want, because, like if I were watching, I'd be like, oh my gosh, who is this person? I want to work with her. So how can they find you? How can people find you? Or what's the best way to get to be in your love orbit?
You're so cute. Absolutely, woman. I just want to say one last thing to tie that last piece up, which is, again, it always goes back to service. So we're not serving someone if we withhold, as women especially. If we withhold from our partner because we're assuming that they won't like it, a chronic one I hear from my female clients is he can't handle it. It's gonna cause him to, blow a gasket or get upset. We literally make assumptions every single moment, and we project some sort of historical reference, right? Dad exploded when I spoke up, or my husband exploded that one time, so we assume he's going to do it every time. It's like we're not serving our relationship or ourselves if we withhold, if we make those assumptions. Like you said, if we don't really share and be honest with ourselves. You were talking about really kind of, not being congruent with your own self. Like you are not serving anyone in that moment by doing that. And so that's the ultimate dance, is to watch that place and go, oh yeah, like you're feeling something, say something. Like I'll kind of do like a little wiggle sometimes to be like a nudge, So it's just a little tip for people. It's really, you're not, even though it's uncomfortable, you're not serving anyone.
I love that. I'm writing it down. If you feel something, say something. Isn't that like, if you see something, say something? Is that, if you feel something, that is, Melanie, that's.
And even if you can't say the words yet, for some of my clients, it's hard at the beginning because sharing vulnerably is not really their jam. It's like not been their historical pattern, a place where they felt comfortable. Start with the noise. Your partner might think you're a little weird, but you know what? Trust me, I've worked with enough people. It's gonna take shape. Like you just make a little noise, like ugh, or ah, or something, to be like, it's not working. I feel something, like, or do a dance or something. Like again, it's body, so you don't actually have to say lots of words. In fact, sorry, one last tip. I'll wrap it up.
I love it. Keep going.
Men respond much better to fewer words. As women, we want to like talk and talk and talk. Women connect best through communication. You know what I'm talking about, right? Yeah. But men start to get overloaded really fast because their nervous system is very different than ours. And so they will actually respond better to more noise and movement in your body than you blabbing on about things left and right. So just another tip is, if you could just stomp your foot and be like, no. I mean, you're going to get his attention if he's watching TV with the remote, if he just completely did something that pissed you off, versus you sitting down and being like, I want to talk to you about something, this happened, and then spending 10 minutes talking about the facts. He's like, I mean, you lost him like 3 or 4 sentences in. So again, if you're going to practice not withholding, I also suggest really getting in your body. And that's a great segue to the work I do. So a lot of the work that I do with women is really embodiment work. So we're really good at living from here, but like, what about from here down? I mean, I used to be a lawyer for over a decade. I know what it's like to really master life from here. I did really good at it, but I didn't feel a lot of connection here, all the way down to my feet. And many of my clients are the same way. So through my different programs, products, and services, I really help women get into their bodies, so then they can really embody the sacred feminine sort of nature and really deliciousness that I'm talking about. And so one of the programs that I run is for women going through divorce or breakups or the end of their relationship. And that is a 9-week online group coaching program called Breakup to Breakthrough. And that has ongoing rolling enrollments. And so information about that can be obtained by contacting me. So at melanie@melanie-scott.com. Again, that's melanie@melanie-scott.com. I imagine Penny will put like a link or something to the video, but I do a discovery call that's free with anybody that's interested in that might be going through a tough time with a relationship. Or I have a lot of people in there that are, or women I should say, that want to leave, they just don't know how. And there's been so many clients that have run through it that are like, oh, I've been wanting to leave for years and I don't know how, and I need the strength, I need the tools. I also have women in the program that are in that place. So that's one of the offerings that I have going on. And then in addition, I do private work, one-on-one with women and some couples that that really want this embodiment piece, this embodiment sort of aspect of relationships. So my clients are either in the love, somewhere in the love realm. So whether dating, having difficulty with marriage, or they want one-on-one support with a breakup instead of in a group environment, I also do that. And I would just love to have anyone that wants to join my email list or anything to also, to sign up for that, because I will have some retreats and workshops and other programs rolling out here soon.
Yeah, that just sounds great, because I just feel like, kind of like with money, we just sort of somehow think that we're supposed to know how to deal with it and we feel like that with love, like we should just know, we're alive, we should know, when there really are very specific things that we need to be taught or shown, because we just kind of go on what we saw. And like you said, our personal history or our past history, and think, oh, that's going to happen. But I think if we know that there are certain things that really do help, and there are systems that we can look at, and just that, I so much love your piece about being in your body. I am a certified fitness instructor and an eating psychology coach, and I think one of the big things is this whole embodying piece. I mean, so many of us do live in this square because it's scary. It's scary to drop down. But I've also done a lot of work in the last year about the lower chakras, and that was life-changing for me, because when I realized that maybe I'm a spirit, but I'm in a human body, but this is how it has to work, and I have to know how to be on planet Earth since I'm here, and that means feeling and dealing with things. Feel something, say something. I like that.
Go, Penny. You can do it, girl. Come on.
That's going on. I love all that. So, I mean, this is such great information. But I'm so grateful that you joined us today to kick off this whole summer of love, to really, really create the context for all the possibilities of love, and just kind of blow it out of the water as far as the traditional definition, and then for people to see how many areas there are to work through, and then to know that if they're willing to, or if they're wanting to go there and work through it, that they don't have to do it alone, because there's such a thing as a love coach, and it's Melanie, and she's amazing and beautiful. So yeah, so, oh my gosh, thank you so much. I mean, this has been really informative to me, because I think we all think we have a handle on love, but I love the pieces that you brought up, because you really have a different take on it, and it's so juicy and so much potential for growth, because and really it does start with that whole self-love piece, and that falling in love with your own life, because again, I feel like we can't ask somebody else to give us what we don't already have, or have the capacity to feel or understand. And no one can ever really complete us except us, I feel like, or unless we know what we're needing and have done our work. So everything you say that comes out of your mouth is a gem. So is there any less, and I just want to say, I'm loving your heart earrings. That is so sweet, the heart earrings. And is there any parting advice that you have for us for summer of
Yeah, our heart really is our most sacred, delicious offering to this world, to our relationships, to our families. What is in our hearts? And yet that moment to moment really expression of heart can be really scary when we haven't really had the tools, when our family environments as children and all of the experiences we had after that really didn't honor our body's expression, honor our voice's expression, honor our truth. And so really there's like a delicious kind of invitation here to really open up the door and go, I'm going to look out and I'm going to see. And what if I showed up just 10% more, 10% more voice, 10% more in my body? Like, what would that do? And then we could crank it up from there. But really, our connection to really our heart, and it just emanates out through our body, through our voice, kind of up. It kind of feels like a balloon. That really is our greatest gift. And, women want juicier relationships and deeper intimacy and connection with their men and the people in their life, right? Yeah. I mean, I hear that from so many women I work with. And you know what? I'll tell you the secret since we're leaving. It starts with us. Nobody out there can give it to us. We emanate it. We get in that mode. Guess what? It starts to show up. But we have to be the vessel. We have to get in touch with those places and ourselves. And so if you want that juicier intimacy in life, it's like get more intimately connected with you. And these embodiment practices, whether it's with me or another teacher out there, completely change your life. Have the power to really do that. And really, again, it's really about coming back to yourself, coming home. So that daily commitment to knowing yourself better, to being in your body more, to expressing your voice, your heart a little bit more. Ooh, sugar. It all changes from there. So if my one word of parting advice would be, it would be, you know what? Commit to knowing yourself every day a little bit more, trying new things, expressing yourself a little more than you did yesterday. Just little baby steps. You have to make big changes, just little steps, and see where it takes you.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. I so love that. And, that just reminded me of even like a simple thing that I think that we could do, just even to put our hands over our heart and just breathe into it. And just one of the big things that I've been doing lately is this Ho'oponopono practice, where it's just four sentences. I love you. Please, I'm sorry. I love you. Please forgive me. And thank you. And I do this now every time I take a shower, which is pretty much every day, hopefully. And, because there's all these places that I really want to say other things than, oh, I love you. But I'll start at the top of my head and work my way all the way down to my feet and say, I'm sorry, please forgive me. I love you. And thank you. And it's amazing what a difference it can make, because my body is not used to hearing that from me. So the more I say it, it's almost shocking. But I loved how you said, like, every moment that you're aware, you have that opportunity to switch it. It can be this fearful thought, or it can be a loving thought. And, if it doesn't feel good, it's probably not a loving thought, because a loving thought is going to calm you down. And even if it just takes you putting your hand over your heart, I think that would help. But yeah, I love the secrets and the whispering of them too.
It's so fun.
Yeah.
So fun, right?
Yeah, I love it.
So fun.
Yeah. I love you, Melanie. You are so much fun, and you are awesome. So thank you so much for sharing with us. I'm going to stop our recording now, and I will put Melanie's information down below so you can all find her, and you will just fall in love with her as much as I have, and I do every time I see her. So thank you all, and we'll see you later.